Wizard101 just dropped a new bundle, and it is so rare right now that almost nobody knows what's in it. But I decided to do some research, reached out to some people. Apparently, this bundle currently is only available in Hawaii, so that's why it's kind of rare. But I decided to look into it, and honestly, y'all, some of the items are really cool, so I want to make a video on it. Without further ado, let's get right into my favorite parts of this bundle. We're gonna start, obviously, I think, with the wand. Now, what you see on your screen is what it looks like. It looks really cool. You know, as usual, this bundle, it kills it when it comes to aesthetics. I mean, this is just the truth. When it comes to good looking gear, it's like always from a bundle. I think this is very intentional. But other than the looks, this wand is extremely special in my opinion. To my knowledge, this might be the best wand for dual schooling that I've ever seen. And that's just mainly because of the fact that you just get these extra new pips. So now, instead of needing to actually like wear a mastery amulet, what you could do is just run Arch Mastery. And second round, you can AoE with this because it gives you new pips instead of a power pip. But y'all, what I really like about this wand is most certainly going to be that item card. It is a never before seen item card because it's absolutely crazy. It uses a fully new mechanic that we've never seen before. So the card is called Lightkeeper's Beam. It's really unique, and this is just something that I guess KingsIsle just went crazy on. It changes what it does based on the school of the caster, and it actually uses this like school identity that they've been developing for the past year. So if you know it, that it actually makes sense why it does it. But if you're a Life, a Storm, or a Dead, these are the blading schools. What the spell does is it gives a universal 25% blade to every ally on the field. And if you're on a trapping school, which right now it would be Myth, Fire, Night, then every opponent on the field gets a 25 universal trap put on them with the spell. And what's really cool is if you're on a balance, you actually give every ally a 15% blade and every enemy a 15% trap. Now, if you do the math out, if you combine those 15%, you actually end up with a 32% buff. So if you're a balance, you're definitely going to be able to buff the best out of this, like out of all of them. But maybe there are mobs that you don't want to put both blades and traps on. Maybe you only want blades, maybe you only want trap. To me, this wand is going to be kind of pivotal in raids because I think it's an extra buff that's super cheap and super significant that can totally save your time on a raid run. And considering they're literally adding a new raid, I feel like introducing a mechanic like this that's so customizable to the wizard you use it on, it is huge. It's easily my favorite part of this bundle. The wand looks great. The item card is super unique. The stats are actually pretty decent for other things. And most importantly, it's not broken compared to the gear that's available to casual players that don't want to pay for a bundle. That's a really big part to talk about here. Compared to like the Aeon wand, for example, you are giving up enough damage and enough, like, you know, pip conserve and pierce, so you're not gonna want to run this normally, but you do get extra stats. You get accuracy and you get a really cool item card. Now, as far as the gear, this is what it looks like. I think it's fine. It looks cool. I don't think this type of gear exists. I feel like, you know, like, I don't think the submarine situation, I don't think, like, you know, that kind of suit, I don't think that exists in the game, so that's cool. I think if you have, like, you know, like an underwater theme to your Stitch, you could probably incorporate it. But as far as the actual stats, they actually seem to just be just like raid gear, but a little bit worse. Meaning if you don't do raids, this could actually be very valid if you're trying to, like, get something to PvE with that's up to date, that doesn't give up too many stats, especially because of the universal damage. It might open up some doors that you didn't have before. But if you're trying to buy a bundle for PvP gear, definitely not the wave on this one, because if you compare it to the Nullity Robe, right, what you're giving up is resist and health and a little bit of damage. The stat that this gear does give up is block. So the most like easy thing to compare it with is Nullity gear. And even on the most offensive school, which is Storm, you're giving up some stats by running the gear. So once again, there's nothing pay to win about this bundle gear. It's just, it looks just really good, and it introduces some new mechanics that you can have access to if you want to pay. That being said, I do think the wand is so good that I definitely would want that in, like, I want that for a raid. I 100% want that. So I think they did a very good job of balancing what people would pay for without making the stats literally broken like they've literally done in the past. Now, the mount seems to be pretty cool. They look to have put in some extra work on it. Apparently, when you go in, you actually shrink into it like the like other bundle mounts that we've seen. And as usual, you're going to be rushing through the combos. You're going to be going through all the areas you need to go through fast as hell, because it's going to be a 50% mount as well. The pet is also super unique. It gives like a Spellamented Immolate, which If they were gonna add a 4-pip Spellman, like, as a pet card, I feel like Immolate is one of the least used ones, so that's a little annoying in my opinion. But Immolate isn't like a crazy bad card. It's a trap counter, basically, and it also self-damages if you Spellman it. Basically, that's what it does. It gets rid of up to 2 traps, turns them into OTs, and then does what Immolate's always done, which is a self-damage into another hit. I do think that this is a continuation, though, of a pattern that I've seen that I really don't agree with. I've noticed that, especially when it comes to the Beast Moon pets that they add, which are new basically every event, and also with bundles, they're going in a direction where they're adding the spellmented version of spells to these pets, and like, you know, other utility, but they always seem to limit the pet copy, and it makes pet bodies, like, for example, right, the Fern Lumi, it gives 3 cards and 2 copies of each. The Blimp Bubble, it gives 2 copies of Ice Bubbles. When you put out new pet bodies, but you limit the number of copies, you limit the chances that people are actually going to switch that pet body. So while the Immolate mechanic itself might not be that crazy, let's say that it were a better card that's spellmented that you get from this pet, you still might not use it just off that 1 card copy. And I think since it's a bundle pet, there should be no reason that it gives 1 copy. I would love to see them get more ambitious with pets because not everyone needs to buy the pet. You can always hatch with it. So there never is a good argument for like, oh, a pet's pay to win unless it's like unhatchable from somebody else. And I just think that pet making right now feels stagnant to me because the newer pet bodies, especially from things that they put a lot of effort into, don't seem to have the pet copies that I'm looking for when it comes to a good pet to make. And I'll be honest, y'all, the difference between a pet that gives 1 card versus like 2, it's a big deal. 1 versus 3 is like monumental. When it comes to deck building, pet copies are everything. So I would love to see them add spellmented versions of cards. Great, do that. But add more than 1 copy so people have an incentive to hatch with these pets. I think that's a big hit or a miss, and it seems that they're missing more when it comes to pets like this. And finally, for all the housing enthusiasts, apparently this is like the first house with 3 areas, so pop off, I guess. There's like an outside area, a little lighthouse where you can decorate all 4 stories of it, and there's also an underwater area with a whole ass dual circle. So I mean, they popped off with this house. Overall, there's definitely some ups and downs with this pack, but what I'm noticing is, you know, really cool aesthetics as usual, especially the wand. A new mechanic through a bundle, which is a really smart way for people to have like an incentive to buy it without it being game breaking. And it also does seem like, you know, they put a lot of effort into the other parts of it, like the housing, like the pet, all that. It seems just like a good bundle overall. I do want to hear y'all's opinions. I mean, you've seen the gear, you've seen the wand, you've seen the house, you've seen everything. Do you guys like it? Do you guys think it's worth $39? I think for me personally, while the gear could look a little bit better, every other part of this bundle is amazing. I think the wand, the house, the mount, the pet, they all look really, really good, and I'm excited to use the wand in raids. As always, drop a comment if you enjoyed, leave a sub if you're new, and if somebody hasn't told you awesome today, they do something wrong. I'll see y'all soon. I look forward to reading all those comments. Stay awesome, and yeah.